Hello, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Commentary Hub's alternative audio coverage of Arsenal against Aston Villa in the Premier League. My name is Nicholas Jones, and I am joined by Ethan Gardner and Paul James. Good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nick.
Okay, before we get on with proceedings, Liverpool lost 1-0 to Crystal Palace earlier today. Manchester City currently top the table after their 5-1 win against Luton Town yesterday, and Liverpool's loss, could play right into Arsenal's hands. They're looking to increase their Premier League aspirations with a win against Aston Villa, having won 5 out of their last 6 league games, and they have been beaten in their last 11 home matches with 10 wins. Paul, Ethan, do you really think this stat will play into their hands?
No, I think it's going to add extra pressure onto Arsenal today. I think it's a tough game they've got against Aston Villa, even though Villa have only won 1 of their last 5 games. Arsenal need to be solid defensively today, having conceded only 1 goal in the last 5 league games. This is a very potent and strong Arsenal defence, but they're going to have to be at their best today because today's going to be a tough game.
Yes, they certainly are going to be on their A game, but also Aston Villa have a bit of pressure of their own, having recently beaten Lille in their first leg match of the Europa Conference League quarter-finals, and they're pushing for a place in next season's Champions League, currently 4th in the table. How much of an extra drive do you think they have in order to do well today?
Well, they're still chasing the Champions League place, so they've everything to play for. It's been an amazing season for Aston Villa, and they've already beaten Arsenal earlier on this season. So it's going to be, like I say, it's going to be a very difficult game.
That's right. They've actually beaten Arsenal twice, 2 times in the modern Premier League era. Could this well be third time lucky for them?
Difficult to say. I think Aston Villa at the moment, well, they've got Tottenham breathing down their neck. I mean, fortunately for Aston Villa, Tottenham got beaten yesterday comfortably at Newcastle. But it's the pressure is on them as well.
Yes, indeed it is. And to get more insight into Arsenal, let's cross over to Mike Hahnemann. Mike, how do you see Arsenal shaping up today?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So I think it looks pretty straightforward. I think Zinchenko just come in for Kivior on the left-hand side. To be honest, it's quite straightforward with the lineup. It's not a change in system or anything like that. It's more a change in personnel. So Zinchenko comes in. Obviously, Gabriel Jesus comes in as well. Trossard comes in from the start. So it's looking quite a strong lineup, and I just hope we can do it on the back of that Liverpool result as well.
Yes, indeed. But in terms of Aston Villa, the player for me to watch out for is Ollie Watkins. 18 goals this season, none of which were penalties. Second highest in the Premier League goal scoring rankings behind Manchester City's Erling Haaland. Do you think do any of you guys think he'll add to more today?
Well, it's tough to say, but I think, to be honest with you, he's up against a very potent Arsenal defence today. So he's not going to find it easy. He's not going to. It's a very tight defence. They're not a charity. He's going to have to work hard if he's going to get a goal. If he's going to pick up any goals today.
They certainly are going to have to work very hard, Aston Villa, not just in the front but also at the back, because their defence has been very poor as of late. Before we go into the game and the kick, before we go ahead and prepare for kickoff, Paul, take us through the themes.
Okay, well, the teams are in the tunnel anyway, and Arsenal are making 3 changes to their starting lineup from the game against Bayern Munich in the week. As Mike mentioned, Zinchenko comes in for Jakub Kiwior, and Gabriel Jesus comes in for Gabriel Martinelli, and also Leandro Trossard comes in for Jorginho. Villa are, of course, making a couple of changes themselves. Zaniolo is in for Luiz, and Moussa Diaby is in for Bailey. So let's take a look at the starting lineups as usual. Starting with Arsenal. They line up with number 22, David Raya in goal. Number 4, Ben White. Number 2, William Saliba. Number 6, Gabriel. And number 35, Alexander Zinchenko make up the back 4. In midfield, Kai Havertz moves back to his more familiar left midfield role, with Declan Rice in the centre of midfield, and number 8, Martin Odegaard, he's the captain, takes his familiar place on the right side of midfield. The 3 in the front line, on the left side is Leandro Trossard, Gabriel Jesus moves into the middle again, and Bukayo Saka is on the right-hand side. For Aston Villa, 12 goals conceded in the last 5 games, line up with number 1, Emilio Martinez in goal, number 4, Ezri Konsa, number 3, Diego Carlos, number 14, Pau Torres, and number 12, Luca Dean make up the back 4. The midfield, it lines up as follows. Morgan Rogers, number 27 on the left, Yuri Tielemans in the centre, and John McGinn, who is the captain today, on the right-hand side, and Nicola Zaniolo on the left, actually. Morgan Rogers joins in the middle. Moussa Diaby wearing number 19, and Ollie Watkins number 11, as mentioned earlier by Nick, has 12 goals this season. The substitutes for Arsenal is Aaron Ramsdale, the backup goalie, Thomas Partey, Emile Smith-Rowe, Gabriel Martinelli, Eddie Nketiah, Jakub Kiwior, Takehiro Tomiyasu, Jorginho, and Fabio Vieira. For Aston Villa, they have Robin Olsen, the regular backup goalkeeper. Matty Cash, coming back from a hamstring injury, just didn't make the starting lineup today. Alex Moreno, Callum Chambers, Clement Lenier, Jean Duran, Kane Kessler Hayden, Leon Bailey, and Timo Igrabunam make up the Villa substitutes. Our referee today is David Cook. He's 41 and he's from Nottinghamshire. Actually, the son of David Cook Senior. It was a cricketer for Nottinghamshire County Cricket Club. The records between the two teams: they've met each other 202 times, and Arsenal have won 87 of those and lost 70. And there's been 45 draws. Of course, earlier this season, Villa got the victory over Arsenal. And Arsenal have won 10 of the last 14 meetings, but Aston Villa have won 4 of the last 8. Arsenal looking for their 4th Premier League title and their first title in 20 years. What an opportunity they've got today, Ethan, if they can pick up the victory against a really good Aston Villa team.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for them. Aston Villa are a very strong side, of course, chasing Europe themselves. But what an opportunity Aston Villa have been handed by Liverpool's disappointing result earlier. And they need to, if they want to win this Premier League title, keep the upper hand on Man City, because Manchester City obviously turn into a machine at the end of the season. They win every game. And therefore, for Arsenal, it's just as important to do the same today.
Thank you, Ethan. And just to note, the assistants today are Tim Ward and Mark Scholes. The 4th official is Paul Tierney, with Peter Banks and Nick Hopkins in VAR. We've seen a little bit of VAR today already all over Europe. So we hope for no controversy from that today, with Villa going to get the game underway at the Emirates in their changed shirts of grey and blue, with greyish shorts and socks. Arsenal, of course, in their famous red and white shirts, white shorts and white socks. As we wait for David Cook to get the game underway, the players will take a knee to take the stand against racism, not just in football but also in greater society. As Villa will be attacking the goal to our left, in this first half as they get the game underway. Rodgers plays the ball long, looking for Zaniolo downfield, but right there is Ben White. He only heads it as far as Tielemans, but it's won back by Declan Rice, who plays it back to David Raya, and David Raya puts his foot through it and puts it out of play for a throw-in to Aston Villa, just over the halfway line in Arsenal's half of the field, down the left-hand side, as we take a look at Mikel Arteta. And the throw-in here is going to be taken by Luca Dean, and he throws it on, looking for Zaniolo, but it's headed out of play by Bukayo Saka. It will be another throw-in for Villa, level with the Arsenal penalty area down the left-hand side. And it's going to be thrown in here by Luca Dean. I think he's going to go for the long throw. Indeed he does. We get some distance on it. It's headed up into the air by Gabriel and then cleared away, but only as far as we begin with the header. And just over the top in the end by Watkins. Trossard is down there at the moment. He just took a hit in the head. Just take a look at this again. It's headed out by Zinchenko, and it's caught on the volley there by John McGinn. And it hits Leandro Trossard square in the face. Painful one, Ethan.
Yeah, painful one indeed. Not a nice one to live through in very early on in this game as well. Trossard been handed a start today, and not the way he would have wanted to get things underway. Well,
he seems to have shaken it off, and he's running now, just clearing his head a little bit, getting rid of some of the cobwebs. And what a massive game this is in the league title chase this year, as David Raya clears it downfield with Liverpool's 1-0 defeat at home to Crystal Palace today. It really does open the door for the Arsenal. Ben White plays the ball forward, chasing it is Bukayo Saka, but Luca Dean is across and puts that ball out of play for a throw-in. Just a couple of yards from the Villa corner flag, and Martin Odegaard hands the ball to Ben White, who's going to take this throw-in down the right-hand side. He was going to go for a long one. He decides to go for a short one here and drops it to Martin Odegaard. Odegaard just trying to get away from Luca Dean. Good play. Nicola Zaniolo closing him down, but he plays the ball quickly there to Saliba. Back to Odegaard, and Odegaard does a quick 1-2 with Jesus to Bukayo Saka. Saka tried to return the ball to Jesus. It breaks loose to Ben White, but Ben White is not able to get the cross in, and that's disappointing from the Arsenal right back that time. Mike has just mentioned that our record against teams that have beaten us previously this season is very good, losing to West Ham, Newcastle, and then smashing them both in the reverse fixtures. Optimistic, Mike. I don't think it'll be a smash today, but I do think Arsenal, if they can play at their best, I think they're well capable of getting the all-important 3 points today and to return to the top of the Premier League this evening. And here's Torres. Torres has got Luca Dean alongside him. He hands it to Luca Dean, and Dean drops it back to Pau Torres. Torres goes right across the penalty area. Dangerous pass there, but he finds Ezra Konsa. Konsa plays the ball forward to Diaby. Diaby trying to get away from Zinchenko, but he's dispossessed by the Ukrainian. But Zinchenko is unable to keep the ball in play, and it's going to be a throw-in to Aston Villa. And the throw-in is about 15 yards, 20 yards maybe, inside the Villa half of the field, as Ezri Konsa has gone over to take that, the right back. It comes back to Ezri Konsa, but he's unable to keep that ball in play, and he turns over possession for an Arsenal throw-in. And it's going to be taken by Alexander Zinchenko, midway inside the Villa half of the field, down the left-hand side. Zinchenko. And he just drops the ball there to Declan Rice. And that's a good challenge by Yuri Tielemans. And now Villa can come away now. And it's Watkins. Watkins sets Diaby off on his way. And that's good play by Raya, who just comes out and calmly takes the ball away from Moussa Diaby. And it's now with Martin Odegaard. He plays it down the right-hand side to Ben White. Forward to Bukayo Saka. He's just trying to turn away from Luca Dean. And Dean is alleged to have fouled the England international Bukayo Saka. He gets on his feet. He's just coming back from a recent injury himself. He won't want to pick up any more coming this close to the Euros. And Ethan, I'll get your thoughts on Arsenal's start in a moment. But at the moment, it's just with Gabriel. He gives the ball to Zinchenko. Zinchenko to Odegaard. Odegaard looking for options available, and he gives it to Ben White. Ben White to Bukayo Saka. He's got Pau Torres in front of him. Good ball by Saka, back to Odegaard. He gives it back to Saka. Saka gets the cross in, but it's blocked by Torres. Torres just picks the ball up and calmly plays it now to Luca Dean. Dean gives it to Zaniolo. Zaniolo, now a breakaway now for Aston Villa, but good work there by Gabriel Jesus, closing down Nicola Zaniolo, and a free kick to Arsenal. And Ethan, your thoughts on Arsenal's start? Pretty positive?
Yeah, I think it has been for them. You know, it could be easy to let nerves get to them in what is quite a big game in their title challenge, but they don't seem to have any real nerves. They're controlling the ball quite well so far, and yeah, working Aston Villa quite well.
Now it's a goal kick to Aston Villa. It's a challenge by John McGinn, and he manages to get it to sort of come off Leandro Trossard, if you will, and it's going to be a goal kick. We've had 6 minutes gone here. It is Arsenal 0, Aston Villa 0. As Ethan said, it's a pretty positive start by Arsenal in this game. And Emiliano Martinez now is just going to play it short to Pau Torres. Torres has Luca Dean alongside him, but he gives it back to the goalkeeper. Martinez gives it to Tielemans. Tielemans plays it in the middle of the park there to Rodgers, but Morgan Rodgers was fouled there, and he's now back on his feet, and it looks like it's going to be a free kick to Aston Villa. Almost just on the halfway line. Silly sort of foul really there, Ethan.
Yeah, not particularly necessary, but maybe it's just to break the game up a little bit early on and try and get into more of a rhythm for his own team, but not the best one to give away, and not the kind of thing that you'd want to go against your record.
Martin Odegaard gives the ball to Bukayo Saka. Saka gets into the penalty area, whips across in, and it's just over the head of Kai Havertz. It was ghosting in on the back post. That was a wonderful cross in by Bukayo Saka, but it's just over the head of Kai Havertz, Ethan.
Yeah, he's reaching for it, but he can't quite get to it there. And an early chance for Arsenal, as we said, it's a positive start. They'll need to work more of those as the game goes on, but positive signs.
Well, it's a wicked cross in, really, by Bukayo Saka, and just wasn't able to direct it. Kai Havertz, who's been in sparkling form for Arsenal this season, really has become rejuvenated and is transferred some of that form to the national side in some of Germany's friendlies. And here is Odegaard, played forward. That's a really good ball now, and Gabriel Jesus is chasing in there. But a wonderful challenge by Diego Carlos, just gets across Gabriel Jesus, and that ball now is played long, and Villa are on the break now with Zaniolo, but cutting across and making the challenge here is William Saliba. Fine challenge there by the Frenchman, and he puts it out of play, and it's going to be a throw-in. So Villa have a throw-in. It's level with the Arsenal 6-yard box, and it's going to be taken by Luca Dean. Going to swing this one into the middle. Another long throw-in, I suspect, coming up from the Frenchman. As he's just holding the ball up there. Here it comes. Long ball into the 6-yard box. The heads go up and it falls for Rodgers, but there is a foul there, and a free kick has been awarded to Arsenal as Gabriel just rolls the ball back to David Raya, and we'll see whether David Raya is going to go short for this one or long. He just drops it to Gabriel, and Gabriel gives it back to David Raya. Back with Gabriel, and across to Zinchenko. Zinchenko goes back to the goalkeeper again, and he releases it to William Saliba. Saliba now. Just slow, patient build-up by Arsenal. We've seen this so many times this season. Just knocks the ball to Kai Havertz and then back to Saliba, who gives it to Martin Odegaard. Odegaard. Gabriel, midway inside his own half to Odegaard. Goes down the left-hand side to Zinchenko. Zinchenko pulled into the middle to Trossard. Trossard makes his way down the left. Back to Zinchenko. Rice. Middle of the park here. Declan Rice just looking for options available left and right. He gives the ball to Zinchenko. Zinchenko now holds the ball up and plays it into the centre circle to Saliba. And it goes back to Martin Odegaard, the Arsenal captain. And here's Ben White. Ben White holds the ball up and gives it back to Odegaard. Odegaard on the centre line was challenged there by Zaniolo, but Arsenal maintain possession. It's Ben White again. It's just holding the ball up. There's little to no press really from Villa here. I'm not sure how smart that is to let Arsenal play this way. As here's Saliba again, as finally Villa move into a pressing position. But there's Havertz now. He plays the ball down the left to Leandro Trossard. Trossard tries to play the ball into Havertz with a shot. Oh, it's a good save by Martinez. Well, it's that's the first real sighted goal by Arsenal. And Kai Havertz got the shot away on the Golden Glove winner of the World Cup. But it was a smart save, Ethan.
It was indeed, and you mentioned he's a Golden Glove winner. He's also ex-Arsenal, Emi Martinez, but what a goalkeeper he's proven to be over the last few seasons for the Villains, and that's a big save for them here away at Arsenal.
Well, the ball there, it's a tight angle for Havertz. He did well to get the shot away, but in the end, Emiliano Martinez just cut down the angles really well there. As here's Pau Torres now for Villa. The ball is played forward, just trying to nip in there and win it with Rodgers, but it's Zaniolo who tries to find Moussa Diaby, and as quick as Diaby is, he certainly isn't going to reach that. As the ball goes out of play, and it's going to be a throw-in for Arsenal. It's taken quickly there by Leandro Trossard. It's now with Zinchenko. Zinchenko just inside his own half of the field. He tries to play the ball through to Havertz again. Havertz just sort of loses control of possession there, and it's hacked away by Tielemans into the Arsenal half of the field, and Ben White just allows that ball to roll out of play, and it's going to be a throw-in for the Gunners. We have 12 minutes gone here. If you're just joining us, it's Arsenal 0, Aston Villa 0. Early pressure and chances coming for Arsenal. Very little for Villa right now, but that's really what you expect at the moment with Arsenal searching for their first Premier League title in 20 years. And the header is on by Odegaard to Jesus. Jesus was not able to win that header. And it's actually won in the end by Diaby. And it's played forward by Luca Dean, looking for Zaniolo. Flicked on again by Morgan Rodgers. He's fouled that time, is he? No, the referee said play on. And it's Martin Odegaard who lays it across to Zinchenko down the left-hand side. Arsenal coming forward now. He gives the ball to Leandro Trossard. Corner of the penalty area, left-hand side. Back to Zinchenko with a cross, but it seems to go over everybody's head. But it's picked up by Martinelli down the right. But yes, that's cleared away by Luca Dean, who just steals the ball from Odegaard that time, but only as far as Gabriel. Gabriel lays the ball off to Zinchenko again. He loves to get forward down the left-hand side. Zinchenko gives the ball to Leandro Trossard. Corner of the penalty area, left-hand side. Back to Gabriel Jesus. And it's now with Gabriel. And here's Zinchenko. Rice. Zinchenko. Trossard. Trossard just trying to pull away there from Ezri Konsa. Gives it back to Gabriel. Gabriel back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko. And it's given the ball to Odegaard. Odegaard gives the ball to Jesus. Corner of the penalty area, left-hand side. Jesus takes a shot. It's deflected by Diego Carlos and goes over. But Jesus there, I think, was in an offside position even.
Yeah, he looks to have been offside, but Arsenal still just building that pressure, and Villa struggling to get out. They're sort of in a chokehold at the moment, and it can't be too long. Chances like that are going to start to be buried offside or not.
Well, Saka may have also picked up a impact injury there as well. He just seemed to be moving in a bit of an uncomfortable position, and that might have been because the challenge by Rodgers in the midfield. So we'll keep an eye on him. Mike says, looks like Havertz has a free role joining Jesus up front when we're attacking. I would actually agree with that. He seems to be getting into those advanced positions, Ethan, and creating chances for himself.
Yeah, and it's a role that he's used in the past, particularly when he was at his best at Bayer Leverkusen. And Jesus has never been a natural number 9 down the middle anyway, so it's smart for them to play off of each other. It's clearly having a big impact so far here today.
Yeah, certainly a positive effect, isn't it? It's goes back to the goalkeeper by Pau Torres, back to Emiliano Martinez, the Aston Villa goalkeeper. And Russ has enjoyed the commentary so far, lads. Thanks very much, Russ. And it's Diaby now who picks up the ball down the left-hand side. Diaby, he tries to play the ball there to Luca Dean in advanced position, but defending very, very well there was Bukayo Saka, and he clears the ball back into the Villa half of the field. This is something, Ethan, that Saka does so well. He's not just good offensively, but he gets back defensively and helps out, and quite often makes some very significant challenges.
Well, it's easy to remember, to be fair, with his current career as one of the world's best wingers, that he actually started out when he first came through the academy as a wing back, and he's still got the ability to defend in incredibly tight scenarios here, as he's just shown.
Well, here's Torres. Torres lifts the ball looking up for Zaniolo, but it's headed down there by Saliba. Saliba plays it to Rice, and Rice knocks it back to Ben White. Short passing by Arsenal to Odegaard. Back to Rice. Saliba. White. White plays it across the defensive line there to Gabriel. Across to Zinchenko, down the left-hand side now. Zinchenko plays the ball forward, and it's Kai Havertz. It's in one-on-one. Can he punish them here? Kai Havertz! Oh, it's a wonderful save by Emiliano Martinez. Well, he gets down very, very well from there as Kai Havertz sprung the offside trap there. The pass was brilliant by Zinchenko, and you can see by the cut of the grass he was just onside. And he was through one-on-one with Emiliano Martinez. Perhaps he just took a little bit too long, Ethan, and that gave Emiliano Martinez time to get out and make the save on the German international.
Yeah, I think it is a case of that. Martinez isn't the kind of keeper you can hesitate against, and Havertz just takes a little bit too long. But how big is missing that chance going to have as an impact on this game? Because that is the most gilt-edged chance that Arsenal have had so far and could well have for a while.
Yes, indeed. It was a wonderful opportunity, wasn't it? It's back with David Raya now, who clears the ball out to Leandro Trossard, who drops it down to Zinchenko. Zinchenko lays it off for Declan Rice. Declan Rice to Gabriel Jesus, back to Rice down the left. He's moving into the middle now, is Rice. He gives it to Odegaard. Arsenal breaking out in numbers. Here's Saka down the right. Cuts into the penalty area. Saka across to the back post. Jesus with a header! Oh, it's just wide. Another opportunity for Arsenal. He really should have hit the target there, Jesus. It was right to the back post, right onto his head. It was an absolutely wonderful cross by Bukayo Saka. And Ethan, really, that should have been 1-0.
It should. Chance after chance wasted, and what an opportunity that is for Jesus. I mean, he should definitely be burying that as Arsenal's number 9. I mean, shirt numbers don't often have an impact, but you've got to rely on your number 9 to score those opportunities. It's a great cross, and it's just wide. And again, they could live to regret that.
Mike said it's situations, opportunities like that are showing why they need an out-and-out striker. I think that could be the missing link for Arsenal as well in terms of really challenging every year for the title. They need a win today, of course, to move ahead of Manchester City. Of course, if they do, that'll move them 3 points ahead of Liverpool as well. In Liverpool's slip-up today that they could have ill-afforded, and that's coming off the 3-0 defeat to Atalanta in the middle of the week as well. So it's quite shocking, really, from Liverpool. And here's Pau Torres. Just slowing the game down midway inside his own half of the field. Gives it to Diego Carlos. Back to Torres, who drops the ball back to Emiliano Martinez, who's been forced into a few good saves early on at the moment for the Villains, as Martinez releases it to Pau Torres. Torres plays the ball forward there, and that is it. Well, there was no free kick given for the challenge from behind from Ben White to Luca Dean. And here's Odegaard. He gives the ball to Declan Rice, who hands it to Gabriel. Gabriel holds the ball up, and he drops the ball just back there to William Saliba. Saliba gives the ball there to Ben White, and Declan Rice drops the ball to Martin Odegaard. Odegaard just puts his foot on the ball, plays a beautiful through ball through to Saka. Saka with a shot, but it's into the side netting. He might have been better pulling that ball across, Ethan. But what a wonderful pass by Martin Odegaard. And this right here is the quality of Martin Odegaard. A beautiful pass through there. His vision is outstanding. He finds Bukayo Saka. And Ethan, should he have pulled that ball across, really?
Yeah, I mean, what a pass, the midfield magician of Odegaard. And Saka had players there with him to pull that across to, but he wants to go alone. He's in good form, of course, this season, as he has been for a while. I said he was one of the world's best wingers, and another chance, just another chance goes begging. But what a pass that is from Martin Odegaard to create that opportunity.
And here's Carlos. Just plays the ball forward there to Rodgers. Back to Carlos. Carlos trying to get Zaniolo up on his way. Zaniolo plays a beautiful ball across there to Watkins. Watkins inside the penalty area, but he is challenged by Gabriel. Arsenal closed that goal pretty quickly there. Odegaard drops it back to Morgan Rodgers, edge of the area with the shot. It's blocked. It breaks loose to Tielemans. Tielemans to McGinn. McGinn midway inside the Arsenal half now. Well, they got back pretty quickly to shut that down, did the Gunners. And here's Pau Torres. Drops back to Tielemans. Tielemans holds the ball up now. We've had 20 minutes gone in this game. It is Arsenal 0, Aston Villa 0 at the Emirates Stadium. There's a few empty seats considering the importance of this game, though. It has to be said. Here's Diaby. Diaby just drops the ball back there to Carlos. Carlos just pulls the ball forward there to Zaniolo. Zaniolo then swings the ball across, and it's taken out there by Zinchenko. And Zinchenko is fouled, but the referee said no. John McGinn tries to pick up the ball, but he's dispossessed by Odegaard. And now Odegaard trying to send Jesus on his way, but Diego Carlos just cuts across and wins the ball back easily. Gives the ball to John McGinn, who's just inside his own half of the field. Here's Tielemans now, inside the centre circle. He's got options as Yuri Tielemans. He slows the game down, perhaps an opportunity for Aston Villa to enjoy some possession for a little while. And he gives the ball to Torres, and Torres releases the ball to Rodgers. Rodgers now, he's got Zaniolo with him. Finds Watkins. Watkins tried to lay it off to Zaniolo there, but it didn't work out. And here's Martin Odegaard now away again. Odegaard looking for the options available. He's going to go down the left there to Leandro Trossard. And now Trossard approaching the penalty area, left-hand side. Trossard trying to just get away there from Diaby, but that is good work by Moussa Diaby, and he manages then to play the ball back to Ezri Konsa, but Konsa is fouled by Martin Odegaard, and it is going to be a free kick to Aston Villa. But we look at this break again, and you can see, Ethan, that it was a really good opportunity. Perhaps Watkins just taking a little bit too long there, allowing Arsenal to get back in numbers.
Yeah, and it's a strange one because that's the kind of goal that Watkins scores so often. I mean, he on the breakaway with good supply, but they did get a little bit fortunate to get there in the first place, and then he just takes a little bit too long, like Havertz did at the other end, and it allows Arsenal to recover. And what a defence we know Arsenal have.
Well, here's Leandro Trossard now. He drops the ball back to Zinchenko. Right. Zinchenko. Oh, Zinchenko lifts the ball forward to Havertz, and out comes Emiliano Martinez and reads that very, very well. But what a good idea that was by Zinchenko. And Zinchenko goes for goal as Martinez was racing back, and that was an audacious effort by Zinchenko, Ethan.
Yeah, well, why not have a go? I mean, your strikers are missing gilt-edged opportunities. Why not have a go yourself from left back? And it's certainly an audacious effort, and Martinez is probably not one of the keepers he's going to catch out, but why not?
So it was a brave effort, and I think it's always interesting because when they come off, it looks absolutely sensational, doesn't it? And here's Digne. Digne plays the ball forward, and he's looking there under pressure. There is Watkins, and that is good work by Saliba. And it's now with Declan Rice, and going down there is Kai Havertz, but Arsenal maintain possession with Odegaard down the right. He's moving into the middle now, is Odegaard. He's going to play the ball there to Jesus, and it's now with Bukayo Saka down the right. Back to Odegaard, slick football by Arsenal, and here's Jesus now in the penalty area. Jesus cuts across the penalty area, gets a shot away, but it's a wonderful block by Diego Carlos there. What an important block, because that was going for goal. And here's Gabriel. He drops the ball back to Saliba. Saliba back to Ben White. Ben White now, he's got options left and right. He's got Saka down the right. He finds Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka now, in front of him is Luca Dean. He plays the ball into the middle there to Declan Rice. Back to Gabriel, who goes down the left-hand side, corner of the penalty area to Leandro Trossard. Trossard, back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko holds the ball up and gives it to Rice. Now to Havertz. Back to Odegaard. Odegaard. Bukayo Saka down the right. Ben White. Saka trying to cut into the penalty area. Gives it to Odegaard. Great turn by Odegaard. And he holds the ball up and tries to find Saka. Saka tries to pull the ball across, and Jesus trying to win it. But good work by Pau Torres, and a challenge by Odegaard, and Odegaard wins the corner here off Pau Torres. His challenge must have come off the Spaniard, and it's going to be an Arsenal corner down the right-hand side, and it's going to be their first corner of the game, I think, despite all the efforts. Yes, it is. And it's Bukayo Saka who's going to swing this in from the right-hand side. And Gabriel Jesus is in there. Saliba is in there. You can bet your bottom dollar Gabriel is in there because he's scored a few with the head this season. Bukayo Saka is about to take this corner now. Physical defending here by Villa as Saka swings it in. And it bounces off the head of Torres, I think. But here's Diaby now. Diaby trying to clear it, but he runs into trouble, and Trossard wins the ball back down the right. He gives it to Zinchenko. Zinchenko's pass to Bukayo Saka is somehow kept in, but he loses control of the ball. He loses possession to Luca Dean. And now here's Zaniolo. And Villa are on the break. Coming forward here is Diaby. Moussa Diaby down the left-hand side. He's got Zaniolo overlapping. Zaniolo now picks up the ball. And he's right in front of Ben White. Zaniolo drops it back to Moussa Diaby as Arsenal get back in numbers once again. Here's Tielemans. Tielemans played across there to Diego Carlos. Across to Morgan Rogers. Gives the ball to John McGinn, the Villa captain. Back to Tielemans. Halfway inside the Arsenal half of the field. It's now with Pau Torres. 27 minutes gone here at the Emirates Stadium. It is Arsenal 0. Aston Villa 0, and it's dropped back there to Diego Carlos by Pau Torres. Torres gets the ball back just inside the Arsenal half of the field. He goes long to Luca Dean. It's a really good ball. Luca Dean down the left-hand side. Drop back to Pau Torres. Torres just holds the ball up, and he drops it back to Diego Carlos, to John McGinn. John McGinn just turning away from Jesus. Good ball by McGinn there to Rogers, and it's a good challenge there by Ben White. And Arsenal can now move away, and it's Zinchenko now. Zinchenko in front of Ezri Konsa and Ollie Watkins. That's a good back heel. And it's now with Gabriel. Gabriel back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko moving forward now. And he's storming over the halfway line. He's tried to slide the ball through to Gabriel, but that's a good interception by John McGinn, and now Villa can come forward. It's Zaniolo. He drops it back into his own half of the field to Pau Torres. Torres gives the ball to Diego Carlos. Carlos back to Torres. Torres plays the ball forward here to Zaniolo. Overlapping is Luca Dean if he can find him. He does find Luca Dean, and he plays it to Morgan Rogers again as he moves towards the middle. Rogers, it looks like he was fouled there. The referee says play on. They have the advantage. It's Moussa Diaby, gives it back to Rogers, and it's picked up by Ezra Konsa, and the cross goes over the crossbar and behind. It's a disappointing cross there, Ethan.
Yeah, considering that they're not working many opportunities so far, and it's a disappointing one to waste, but how stubborn has Villa's defence been so far as well, and that's the foundation of an away performance against a really good Arsenal side. What a last few minutes this has been for you to commentate on, Paul.
Yeah, it's been an amazing game so far. It's kind of been end to end, and we're quite lucky to be bringing you this game. I certainly feel very privileged to bring a game like this. It's always very exciting to watch and to commentate on. Here's Gabriel, midway inside his own half of the field. And he gives the ball to Martin Odegaard in the middle. Odegaard, oh, it's a superb through pass to Kai Havertz. He's in again, he's Havertz, but that is a really fine challenge by Diego Carlos. It goes behind for a corner. Martinez is unable to keep in play, but Villa caught out again with the pass to Kai Havertz, Ethan.
Yeah, his free roll is just finding so much space, and what a recovery that is from Diego Carlos. I mean, potential man of the match performance early on here, and Villa just managing to keep Arsenal out, but they're creaking.
Yeah, that was a good challenge though. Kai Havertz is up on his feet, but he is finding a lot of space inside that Villa defence, and Villa are going to have to try to watch that because he's going to punish them. Kai Havertz has got goals in him, and the corner is going to be taken down the right-hand side, and it's going to be taken by none other than Bukayo Saka, of course. As Havertz is now limping. That's not good news for Arsenal. Hopefully for him, it's just an impact injury. Bukayo Saka is going to swing this corner in, and he's just been delayed by our referee David Coote today. And Bukayo Saka swings the ball in, and that attempted header there really by Gabriel almost got on the end of that. He has scored a few with the head. It goes out of play incidentally for a goal kick, but the corner came in and he just tried to get ahead on that, but marking him very well was Ezra Konsa. And he was trying to just get on the end of that. He's got 2 or 3 goals with the head this season. As Ezra Konsa doing a good job on Gabriel. You mentioned before, Ethan, about Villa and their stubborn defence. Where do you see Arsenal's best breakthrough is in this game so far?
Well, it's difficult to say because they've had so many different avenues of attack. Odegaard and Zinchenko putting in really lovely balls, but Havertz, I think, is the most dangerous option for them so far. He's had a couple of chances. He just needs to put one away.
Excuse me, yes. Yes, he is getting a lot of breaks inside that Villa half of the field. As here's Pau Torres now. Torres has got Martin Odegaard breathing down his neck. He gives the ball to Yuri Tielemans in what was a bit of a hospital pass, but he manages to find Ezri Konsa, who drops the ball back to Carlos, and Carlos clears it, but only as far as Gabriel. Gabriel finds Trossard, who gives the ball there to Havertz, and back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko finds Gabriel inside his own half of the field. Back to Zinchenko. He gives it to Trossard down the left-hand side. He sets off Gabriel Jesus, as Arsenal getting a lot of joy down that left-hand side. Gabriel Jesus just trying to pull away from John McGinn. It's a good pass to Havertz, who lays it off for Declan Rice. Declan Rice finds Trossard in the penalty area. Trossard goes down, but I think he slipped on the ball. There's no way the referee's going to give a penalty, but Arsenal do keep the ball in play, and Trossard has it now by the corner flag left-hand side. He gives it to Jesus. Jesus to Odegaard. Odegaard tries to back heel, but he's dispossessed by John McGinn. John McGinn drops the ball back to Konsa, and Konsa clears the ball downfield, and it goes out of play for a throw into Arsenal midway inside the the Villa half of the field. We've had 32 minutes gone here at the Emirates. It's Arsenal 0, Aston Villa 0, and you're listening to a really thrilling game so far. Even though the score is still 0-0, we've had chances really for both sides. Torres plays the ball forward, and over the halfway line is Yuri Tielemans, as Villa breaking out in numbers now. Tielemans trying to play the ball through to Diaby, but that is a good piece of goalkeeping by David Ray, who comes out and reads that, and he releases it to Declan Rice. And now Arsenal coming up the other side. Declan Rice gives it to Odegaard, who gives it to Ben White. Ben White sets Bukayo Saka off on his way. Saka back to Odegaard. Odegaard back to Saka. Saka tries to feed it through to Gabriel Jesus, but that's well read by Pau Torres. And now Villa can come away. And on the ball here is Morgan Rogers. He just gets away from Saliba, but he's not able to get away from Odegaard. Odegaard wins the ball back and gives it back to Kai Havertz. Havertz may fancy a shot. He does. It's blocked by Carlos, but it breaks loose to Trossard. Trossard shoots. It's blocked by McGinn and picked up by Moussa Diaby. Diaby around Trossard, and he just lets the ball slip there to Rogers. Rogers now slows the game down. Smart play by Morgan Rogers. But once again, we're seeing end-to-end stuff, Ethan, and it's only going to be a question of time, surely, before one of these teams breaks the deadlock.
Yeah, you'd think so. Villa countering quite effectively, but there's more to come from them. And then with Arsenal, obviously, danger with almost every opportunity. The problem is with this attack, they could all cover, each player, a different position each time. You don't know who to mark, and they just look like a real threat. Surely they won't be long before there's a goal for.
Well, it's Diego Carlos just gives it back to Emiliano Martinez, who's also had to make some smart saves early on. I can tell you, Ethan, you're incumbent to pick the player of the match today. The way some of this players have played in this first half, I don't fancy your job today. Here's Diaby. Diaby with a shot. It's blocked by Saliba, and it's picked up by Kai Havertz. Havertz dropped it back to Declan Rice. Declan Rice. He's got options inside his own half. He gives it to Odegaard. Odegaard skips away there from Yuri Tielemans, and he drops it to Bukayo Saka. Saka gives the ball back to Rice, midway inside the Villa half of the field. Goes down the left-hand side to Zinchenko and onwards to Leandro Trossard, corner of the penalty area. Zinchenko just turns away there from Tielemans. And it's the referee has given something. There's a stoppage in play. It was kicked out of play there by Declan Rice, and it looks like Zaniolo is down, and that looks pretty uncomfortable for Zaniolo. The referee is about to show a yellow card to somebody here. I'm just not quite sure who he's pointing to there. I'll be able to tell you in a moment. It looks like it's Ben White. As Martin Odegaard protests. And we'll just take a look at it as well. Well, his foot's high there, Ethan, on Zaniolo, and pulling his shirt as well. I don't think he can really argue with that, can he?
No, I think it's a pretty undeniable call, and high foot is something that referees definitely looking out for in the modern game, and even with the shirt pulling, that's probably a yellow card offence in itself, so I'm not sure there can be too many complaints from Ben White or any of his teammates there.
Well, he is still down, Zaniolo, and this is due to colliding with his own player. It looks like it was a knee-on-knee collision, and of course anyone that's played sport of any kind knows that when that happens, it never ends well. He's just being helped up by the Villa physio now with Zaniolo. And Ethan, why don't you just give us your assessment so far of the first half?
Well, frenetic and intense. I think are the two words I'd use to describe it. Arsenal have been brilliant. There's no sense of nerves for them at all, and they do look dangerous, but they just need to make sure their ascendancy isn't for nothing, because if they don't come away with all 3 points from this game, I think they'll really regret it given the way they've played. But yeah, and Villa have been positive as well. I mean, on the counter-attack, so it should be a really exciting rest of the game for us to watch here, Paul.
Yeah, certainly looking interesting, this one, as the stoppage allows Mikel Arteta to have a little chat with some of his players, as that seems to be the way of things these days. Whenever there's a stoppage, players gather around for, it's almost like a timeout these days, as Luca Dean now will have the throw-in for Aston Villa, as it's thrown back to Arsenal in a sign of good sportsmanship by the Villains, and it's given to Gabriel. Gabriel gives the ball to Zinchenko. Zinchenko, good ball down the right there. Down the left to Leandro Trossard. He gives it back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko to Declan Rice. And Declan Rice finds Bukayo Saka down the right-hand side. He's got Ben White overlapping if he needs him. Bukayo Saka plays the ball across here to Declan Rice. Can he make space for himself? Declan Rice plays it across. And wow, Diego Carlos almost turned the ball into his own net there. He was able to clear it in the end, but only as far as Martin Odegaard. Odegaard back to Bukayo Saka. Saka cuts inside. Played across to Odegaard. So dangerous from these positions. He gives the ball to Zinchenko. Down to Trossard, down the left. Trossard played through to Odegaard, but that is a good block there by Pau Torres. It goes as far as Trossard, back to Zinchenko. Odegaard, corner of the penalty area, now gives it to Rice. Rice with a cross into the back post, looking for Saka with a header, and it's just over the crossbar. But once again, we see some fluent football by Arsenal and creating the chances, Ethan.
Yeah, again, chance after chance created, but Diego Carlos, I know that was a little bit risky from him, but he's just been phenomenal at the back so far for Villa, and I think when Kai Havertz goes home later, he's going to see Diego Carlos still marking him and trying to block everything he does.
Yes, Kai Havertz struggled a little bit today when one-on-one with Diego Carlos, but the game is still not yet at half-time, so lots can change in this match. As picked up by Gabriel just inside his own half of the field. Oh, he plays it off Zinchenko's back, and Watkins has a chance now. Watkins gets in with a shot. Oh, it hits the post. Oh, Villa comes so mighty close as Watkins gets into the penalty area, strikes that shot, and it came off a terrible error by Gabriel, who played it off the back of Zinchenko. And what an opportunity there, and so unlucky for Villa, Ethan.
Yeah, it's a fine margin. It's really unlucky for Villa, and I've got to say, with Arsenal's title charges in recent seasons, Gabriel has been one of the players that people have identified as a weak point, and that's got to go down as another reason to doubt him there. It's a mistake. He's allowed Watkins in, and he's got to be very...
Jesus, sorry, Ethan, and here's your chance for Arsenal. Shot on! What a save! What a save! That got to be one of the saves of the season. Let me look at this again, and Gabriel Jesus pulled the ball across to Saka. The shot was blocked from Odegaard. It came back to Jesus, and Trossard inside the 6-yard box, so just rather on the line of the 6-yard box. But what a save from Emiliano Martinez. Wow, Ethan. Catch my breath.
Yeah, what a save. And he's proving again why he's one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. But, oh my word, this game is intense. I'm not surprised you need to catch your breath there, Paul.
Yes. Well, both sides come mighty close to breaking the deadlock. So unlucky for Ollie Watkins, hits the inside of the post, and a fantastic save from Emiliano Martinez. As this game is, and I'm trying to bring in my co-commentator Ethan when I can, Ethan Gardner. The trouble is that by which time Arsenal are at the other end of the field, and here's Gabriel now. Gabriel gives the ball to Zinchenko midway inside his own half of the field. He goes over the halfway line now, and Mike says this game is not good for the nerves. Well, I would say so, yes. Here's Bukayo Saka with Ben White overlapping down the right. Ben White, beautiful heel there. Pull back to Saka. Saka gets the shot away. Oh, it whistles past Emiliano Martinez's right-hand post as Arsenal come close again, Ethan.
Again and again they come close, and I don't envy you, Mike, to be honest with you, watching this as an Arsenal fan. I mean, surely at some point they've got to score though.
Well, yes, you'd think so, but Emiliano Martinez has made some outstanding saves, already a candidate for player of the match performance as well. And you can see the look on Mikel Arteta's face there, just how close that really was, and the frustration on Bukayo Saka's face. As the ball is cleared downfield, looking for Zaniolo. He goes down under the challenge of Ben White. And Declan Rice just gets across Ollie Watkins and puts the ball out of play. It's going to be a throw-in as we go into the last 3 minutes of what has been a pulsating first half. Luca Dean now with a throw-in midway inside the Arsenal half of the field. And he's just looking for options here. Now he's got Morgan Rogers with him. Not sure what the delay is here. He finally drops the ball to Rogers, who gives it back to Luca Dean. And it's a short pass to Torres, and Jesus has won the ball. And here's a chance now for Leandro Trossard can get behind Konsa, and he can't. It's good work by Ezri Konsa, just getting in front of Torres there. Getting in front of Trossard there. And Villa just trying to get the ball away. And here is Zaniolo now. Zaniolo just making his way down the left, but he's under pressure by two Arsenal players, Declan Rice and Ben White and Gabriel, as the ball goes out of play, and it's going to be a throw-in. Mike says that Watkins' chance is exactly what can happen when you don't take your chances. This is true. I've seen it so many times this season alone, that chance after chance after chance, and then you get punished. As Watkins just trying to get behind Saliba, but that didn't work, and it was cleared away. But it's picked up by Moussa Diaby midway inside the Arsenal half of the field. Under pressure by Zinchenko, he drops it back to Tielemans. Tielemans gives it to John McGinn. McGinn, it's a long ball looking for Luca Dean, but that's good interception by Bukayo Saka. He brings that ball down so well now, and he's trying to create another attacking option for Arsenal. It's with Declan Rice. He gives the ball to Zinchenko, who plays it down the left flank here to Leandro Trossard. He's got Konsa in front of him. Trossard, corner of the penalty area, left-hand side. Gives the ball to Zinchenko. Zinchenko balls it across, but there is nobody there. And it's turned behind by Luca Dean. But what a chance again for Arsenal. There was nobody taking the risk, and it might have been that Jesus was just in an offside position anyway. But another chance really goes begging for Arsenal, Ethan.
Yes, indeed. And that's, it was mentioned earlier that Arsenal are lacking an actual out-and-out striker, and that's probably the situation where you're looking for one. It's just a disappointing waste, really, from the Gunners there.
As we look again at that post save by Emiliano Martinez, a kick save and a beauty. And we go into the last minute at the end of the first half. We are still 0-0, if you can believe that. And trying to break through now is Rogers, and it's a free kick right on the edge of the penalty area. Saliba is saying no. Has he given a penalty? Let's just take a look, because I'm not sure whether that tackle took place outside the area. Oh, I think it did, but it's hard to tell from that angle, Ethan. But we'll know better here. Yeah, it's outside, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a tight call, but one that could really affect the game. But it is just outside the area, I think, because I imagine the sucker punch that would have been for Arsenal if that had been a penalty.
Indeed, and we prepare for this free kick, and Gabriel goes into the referee's notebook for that challenge. As it's another booking for Arsenal. Standing over this free kick is Yuri Tielemans. There's also John McGinn over it, and I just can't quite tell if that is Luca Dean. I think it is. As Arsenal being sent back the full 10 yards. We may also see Villa, a couple of Villa players. We've seen Pau Torres getting in that wall, and also Morgan Rogers trying to make this as difficult as possible for David Raya. There's 3 possible options here: Tielemans, Dean, or John McGinn. We're just going to see. We've got 2 minutes of stoppage time at the end of this first half, and we're just going to see who it is that's taking it. I just wonder if it's John McGinn. He's lining up this to hit a blaster, but it could, of course, be Tielemans, could be Dean, it could be any one of them. We'll just see. Waiting for the referee to give this, blow his whistle so that we can take this free kick. David Coote blows his whistle now, and we're just going to see. It looks like it's Luca Dean, and it's into the wall. And Trossard just hacks the ball clear here as we are inside the last minute of stoppage time. And what has the referee given now? It looks like he's been... it's Gabriel, and he looks like he's... Has he been... Yeah, he looks in a lot of discomfort there, does Gabriel. But would you have gone perhaps with maybe John McGinn for the blaster with that free kick, Ethan?
Well, yeah, I think from that range it's difficult to get it up and over the wall, and that's why Dean struggled. Maybe you do just have to hit it, but there were people covering the low shot, so it was always going to be difficult for the McGinn blaster as well. I'm not really sure what option was best there. Well,
we're approaching the end of the first half, and Arsenal and Villa are locked at nil apiece. Here's Zinchenko now, just inside his own half. Zinchenko plays the ball looking for Havertz, but Havertz is not moving very comfortably. And I'm just wondering if he's still feeling the effects of that challenge from Diego Carlos earlier on. Emiliano Martinez now has the ball at his feet as we are almost at half-time. At half-time, before we hand back to the studio, we'll get Ethan's first half assessment as soon as we hit the half-time mark, which probably should come after this goal kick by Emiliano Martinez. It's cleared downfield. Well, still we play on. So it's a free kick now to Aston Villa for the foul on Yuri Tielemans. Martin Odegaard protests. David Coote sends him away. And Mike says that's a worry about our defence. They're solid and have formed a great partnership, but both Gabriel and Saliba have rash moments like that in them. So we've played 3 minutes of the allotted 2 minutes of stoppage time. And the free kick is going to be taken by John McGinn for Aston Villa. He's going to get the option just to swing this ball in the penalty area. It's a high line for Arsenal, right on the edge of the 18-yard box. It's swung in by McGinn too. On the back post there was Konsa, and it just comes off him and goes behind, and that's it for the first half. Well, Arsenal have had so many chances. Chances falling for Havertz, Jesus, Saka, Trossard, of course. And some wonderful saves by Emiliano Martinez and Ollie Watkins hitting the post as well. But at half-time at the Emirates, it's Arsenal 0, Aston Villa 0. Ethan, why don't you give us your first half assessment?
Well, I think Arsenal will be very happy with the way they've played. They've been positive, they've worked chances, and they've really caused Villa to think about, crosses and shots. But what a defence we've seen from the likes of Martinez, Carlos and Torres, and it's just going to frustrate Arsenal that little bit more, but it's been pulsating end-to-end stuff. Very, very exciting. And Paul, I guarantee you probably need a drink and a break during this half-time break, because that was a fantastic half of football, and I'm looking forward to the second.
Well, yes, that's it. I'm going to go and take a cup of tea break now, so I'm going to hand you back to Nicholas in the studio.
Thanks, Paul. Well, that was certainly an entertaining first half, and then some. Neither side willing to Neither side willing to concede an inch. Both had really good chances themselves, but it's still 0-0. Goodness only knows how it's going to go into the. Goodness only knows how it's going to go in the second half. Well, we're going to take a break, but we'll be back with we'll be back with the thoughts of everyone and going into the second half. We'll also have a quick chat with Mike on his perspective on his Arsenal perspective before we go into the second half. Do join us then. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Commentary Hub's coverage of Arsenal against Aston Villa in what could well be a crucial match as they prepare as the Premier League in Arsenal's chase for the Premier League title. Before we hand over back to Ethan and Paul, let's just get the thoughts of Mike Harneman. On how Arsenal fared in the first half. Mike, Arsenal put on the pressure. Yet Aston Villa were able to hold them at bay.
Yeah, I thought Aston Villa have defended very, very well in that first half. I think, as has been mentioned, Emi Martinez has made a couple of fantastic saves. The defence of Aston Villa have held up very, very well as well, as you say. And then, I think that we've had chances. Havertz has had 3 or 4 chances. Saka's had a couple of chances. Trossard's obviously had the chance as well. But then Aston Villa have also had their moments as well, most notably being the one with Ollie Watkins hitting the post. So we've got to be careful of them hitting us on the counter-attack and hitting us on the break. But, we're having moments. And to be honest, I just feel that, I think I said it in the chat to Paul and to Ethan as well, that we are really missing an out-and-out striker right now and somebody that can just put the ball into the back of the net because, if we had somebody, with a clinical pedigree in front of goal, we'd probably have been 3 or 4-0 up before Aston Villa had even had that moment through Watkins. If we'd have had somebody from, back in the years gone by of maybe like a Thierry Henry or somebody like that in their prime. Still lots and lots of football to be played in this game, and it's been a real entertaining watch, and just hopefully we can, break the deadlock in the second half.
Okay, what tactics do you see Mikel Arteta doing before the second half? Which players do you think he should switch round?
I don't think he really needs to make too many changes. We've got options on the bench if he wants to bring on Gabriel Martinelli or if he wants to bring on, Emile Smith-Rowe on the bench as well. But for me, I'd probably give it 15, 20 minutes and see what happens, and then look at bringing probably a Gabriel Martinelli on in the closing part of the second half with maybe about half an hour to go.
All right, thanks for now, Mike. And we're going to briefly bring back in Ethan, and we're going to bring back in Ethan and Paul before I hand them over before the second half. Aston Villa came very close to breaking the deadlock a few times, but given the performance that they did against Arsenal in the first half, how much has that spurred them on?
Well, I think the stubborn defence of the first half is really going to give them some confidence going into the second. The fact that they can spring a counter in. As much as it's disappointing to hit the post and not score, that Ollie Watkins chance will give them just more and more hope that they can actually go and get a result in the second half.
They'll certainly be hoping so. We're just about a few minutes away from the start of the second half. According to Paul, the players are in the tunnel, so we're now going to hand over back to our commentators Ethan Gardner and Paul James.
Thanks, Nick. And yes, the Arsenal players are out for the second half. Certainly they've done all but put the ball in the net as they gather together for their final preparation for the start of the second half. Ethan, despite the chances that they've had and despite the general fluency of their play, what do you think Arsenal need to do to really break this deadlock?
Well, it's difficult. I think in attack, more of the same in terms of working chances, and if that doesn't work after, say, 5-10 minutes, maybe switch things around. But Havertz is still getting some joy with space, and Trossard, Saka, they're all getting dangerous opportunities, work down both sides. Zinchenko and White coming to the game for fullbacks. It's not like they're struggling to break Villa down. They're just not really putting their chances away, and there's only so much you can do against Emi Martinez when he's in form as he is today.
Well, Arsenal now about to get the second half underway. Martin Odegaard just standing over the ball. waiting for David Coote to blow his whistle, our referee from Nottinghamshire, as Martin Odegaard gets the game underway, and gets the second half underway, and Arsenal will be attacking the goal to our right in this second half as David Raya plays the ball long, looking for Kai Havertz. It's won by Pau Torres and headed back to the goalkeeper by Nicola Zaniolo. And there is Mikel Arteta. I'll just run through the lineups for you really quickly. For Arsenal, David Raya, Ben White, William Saliba, Gabriel, Alexander Zinchenko, Martin Odegaard, Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, Bukayo Saka, and Gabriel Jesus and Leandro Trossard. For Villa, it is Martinez, Konsa, Carlos, Torres, Dean, McGinn, Tielemans, Rodgers, Zaniolo, Diaby, and Watkins. No changes by either side at half-time as the ball is kicked out of play by Declan Rice. And it's going to be a throw-in for Aston Villa down that left-hand side, and it's going to be taken by Luca Dean. Luca Dean, just looking for options available. I'm sure Villa will take a point out of this trip today, as it's now with Diego Carlos. Carlos gives the ball to Konsa. Konsa holds the ball up under pressure from Leandro Trossard, and he plays a ball to John McGinn there, under pressure from Kai Havertz, but McGinn does well and lays it off to Pau Torres. Torres plays the ball long, and just winning the ball there is Saliba. There might have been some confusion with David Raya there. He's trying to just get the ball away from Luca Dean, but there appeared to be some confusion between defence and goalkeeper there. But Saliba just gets across and tries to put the ball away from Luca Dean, but in the end it is a throw-in, and it's going to be a throw-in to Arsenal as David Coote forcing Ben White to go further back, and he throws it to Declan Rice, who hacks the ball away. It's headed back in there by Luca Dean, but it's cleared away again by Arsenal. But but that is only as far as Rodgers. Rodgers drops the ball back to Carlos, now to John McGinn. John McGinn, midway inside the Arsenal half of the field, is going to play the ball down the left, or at least he was looking to. Good interception by Declan Rice. And now Arsenal can break away in numbers, 4-on-4 if they hurry. Here's Kai Havertz. He's got options left and right. Trossard and Saka. He plays the ball through to Jesus, and Jesus goes down under the challenge of Diego Carlos. I don't think that's a penalty, Ethan, at all, to be honest. I think he just rather runs over Carlos's leg here, I would say.
Yeah, I think perhaps he's looking for contact, and you're looking to buy fouls in a game like this with this importance when you can't take your chances, but I don't think he's going to get a penalty from that, Gabby Jesus.
No, and it's disappointing that someone of Jesus' talent has to resort to that as well. Here is Emiliano Martinez. He just drops the ball there to Pau Torres. Torres plays the ball into the middle there to Ollie Watkins. Watkins just trying to turn away from Saliba. Gives the ball to Zaniolo, but Zaniolo showed too much of it to Ben White. And Ben White plays it off Nicola Zaniolo, and it's going to be a throw-in. Taken quickly by White to Bukayo Saka. Saka under pressure by Zaniolo. It's alleged to have fouled the England international, and it's going to be a free kick to Arsenal. It's taken quickly, and it's now with Gabriel. Gabriel plays the ball to Zinchenko. Zinchenko moves into the centre circle. He's got options available as Zinchenko left and right. He decides to go to Gabriel. Gabriel holds the ball up, gives it back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko across to Ben White. Patient build-up again by Arsenal. Back to Zinchenko. Havertz makes a run again, but he plays it down the left-hand side, this time to Trossard. Trossard lifts the ball over the top there to Jesus. Jesus lays it off to Havertz, and that's a free kick for a handball against Yuri Tielemans. No question about that. And now Arsenal have a free kick in a very dangerous position, Ethan.
Yeah, and we'll see what they can do with it, really. And it is a dangerous position indeed. They've got some good set-piece takers as well, Arsenal, going into this one. You do wonder who's going to stand over it.
Well, already there's a free kick committee there. Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard, Leandro Trossard, Zinchenko. Half the starting 11 are around that one. But we're going to just see what's going on. I can't help feeling this might be a Martin Odegaard territory or Declan Rice, I think, more than any of the others. But Emiliano Martinez is standing and just pacing back and forward, trying to organise the Villa wall. We all know how dangerous Martin Odegaard is from these positions. And Declan Rice has stepped away from it, leaving just Martin Odegaard. There's a three-man Arsenal wall in front of the Villa wall, which consists of Trossard, Havertz and Gabriel. Ollie Watkins is complaining. I don't see anything wrong with it. Here is Martin Odegaard now. He's going to take this free kick. Odegaard with a shot. Oh, and it hits Konsa square in the face. And it's headed down there that time by Luca Dean, who drops it to Moussa Diaby, who gives the ball back to Konsa. Konsa to Diego Carlos, and Carlos gives it back to Emiliano Martinez as Villa playing Russian roulette in their own penalty area here. Ezri Konsa just gives it to John McGinn, and Villa need to be careful here because Arsenal are pressing. And Martinez just gives the ball there to Torres. Torres to Luca Dean. Luca Dean just trying to turn away from Ben White. The ball forward there, and it looks like Declan Rice clapping with Nicola Zaniolo there, and it's going to be a free kick to Aston Villa. As we look at the Aston Villa manager, Unai Emery, and he looks a little bit nervous himself. Of course, a point will keep him in fourth position, and will put him 1 point ahead of Spurs following their crushing defeat against Newcastle. Here's Rodgers. Gives the ball there to Yuri Tielemans. Tielemans holds the ball up now. He's looking for options left and right. He's got Konsa. Konsa then slides the ball to Moussa Diaby down the right-hand side. Moussa Diaby, away he goes. He's got Zinchenko in front of him. He moves into the middle, Diaby. And he tried to play the ball through, but Gabriel just let that ball go through to David Raya. I would assume that Gabriel knew who was behind him. Otherwise, that would have been quite a dangerous play. But Arsenal have conceded possession again now through Kai Havertz, and has given the ball to Moussa Diaby. It's now John McGinn. McGinn to Diego Carlos inside the centre circle to Watkins. Watkins lays it off to Tielemans. Zaniolo. Now to Pau Torres. Luca Dean lays it back in his own half to Pau Torres. Torres across to Diego Carlos. We are still 0-0 here somehow, some way. Here's John McGinn. Gives the ball there to Ollie Watkins, and Watkins plays it down the right to Moussa Diaby. Moussa Diaby, and he attempted to return the ball to Watkins, but that's a good interception by Zinchenko. And now Arsenal can try to create something. Well, already the game seems to have continued at a very fast pace, Ethan.
Yeah, both sides still keeping up this intense affair, but you start to look now at who they could bring on really to impact the game. Villa have the likes of Leon Bailey, but for Arsenal, I think Eddie Nketiah would be a really good shout to bring on as an orthodox striker, to take the chances they've been missing so far, but they're keeping up the energy.
Well, it certainly could come to that, because I suspect that these 22 players can't keep up this pace for 90 minutes. Here's Konsa. Konsa drops it back into the centre circle, and he gives it to Diego Carlos. Carlos across to Pau Torres. Torres plays it forward to Watkins. Watkins just turns away from Havertz. Good ball by Watkins to Zaniolo. Zaniolo gets in the box and gets a shot away, but it's a good block by Saliba. It breaks loose to Luca Dean, corner of the penalty area, left-hand side. Zaniolo again tries to turn Saliba again. It breaks loose to Ollie Watkins, but he loops a shot over the crossbar, and he's trying to say it took a deflection. And we're just going to see whether that is the case, whether the referee is one of the officials has awarded a corner. As Mikel Arteta looking on with a look of concern on his face, and the Arsenal fans, it's nail-biting time for them. Goal kick was given instead of the corner, and Zinchenko concedes possession to Moussa Diaby. Diaby drops it back to Konsa. Konsa gives it back to Emiliano Martinez, who releases it to Diego Carlos. Tielemans. And here's Morgan Rodgers now, over the halfway line, under the challenge from Kai Havertz. And good work from Havertz, wins back possession off Morgan Rodgers. Gives the ball to Declan Rice. Declan Rice, long ball to Jesus. He may just be offside, actually. And the official's flag is raised there, and he is, in fact, offside. Certainly a good idea that time by Declan Rice, but he just strayed into an offside position, Ethan.
Yeah, and it's starting to try different things and getting behind, really, but it's a shame the offside flag's gone against them there. But you've got to say Villa as well, starting to come into this game with more possession and more chances being worked. And you wonder if Arsenal have missed their opportunity, really, to get a chokehold on this match.
Well, that might well be the case, because Aston Villa certainly have been a bit more progressive in this second half coming forward. And Emiliano Martinez launches the ball long downfield looking for Diaby, but it just goes down to David Raya. And David Raya releases the ball to William Saliba. Saliba gives the ball to Declan Rice. Rice holds the ball up. He's just inside his own half. He's going to lay the ball off to Martin Odegaard. Odegaard looking for options himself, and it looks like he's going to play the ball across to William Saliba. Saliba gives the ball to Gabriel. He's got Kai Havertz and Leandro Trossard as options in front of him. He decides to give the ball back to Declan Rice. Declan Rice has Bukayo Saka down the right. He gives the ball to Odegaard again. Odegaard creating space for himself now. Gives the ball to Trossard, left-hand side. Trossard with a cross, but that is meat and drink for Emiliano Martinez. As the cross came in, it was a promising build-up, Ethan.
Yeah, promising build-up still, and you can never rule out Arsenal's attack. They are going to still work chances, but it's just disappointing, the cross and the fact that, again, more and more opportunities coming to nothing. Martinez comfortable with that one, more comfortable than he's been the entire game.
Zaniolo drops the ball off to Luca Dean. Dean drops the ball to Torres. Torres to Diego Carlos. Carlos plays the ball to John McGinn. And McGinn just sends the ball down the right-hand side to Ezri Konsa. Konsa just decides to go back there to Diego Carlos. Mike says, think I'd get Martinelli on for Trossard shortly to offer something different with his pace and trickery. I actually agree with that, Ethan. I don't know about you. I think that's really a good idea. I'll get your thoughts on that in a moment. But why don't you just chime in with that now, Ethan, and your thoughts on that, what Mike said.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Martinelli's the most dangerous option on the Arsenal bench, and it's something that they're not really trying to do, get past their man at the moment. They're trying to work their way through, so bring a different dynamic to the attack would be a smart idea. I think Eddie Nketiah really for one of Jesus or potentially Havertz, just to offer a pure finisher as well. But maybe that's a move for later on in the game.
Here's Jesus, midway inside the Arsenal half of the field. Gives the ball to Declan Rice. Now to Martin Odegaard, who's really been in the thick of it today. Gives it to Jesus. Jesus trying to get his way into the penalty area. It's a good challenge by Tielemans, but he gives the ball away to Declan Rice, and Odegaard will have another chance. But it's cleared away again, this time by Carlos. Only as far as Declan Rice. Now Declan Rice gives the ball to Ben White. Declan Rice now, corner of the penalty area, right-hand side. He tries to find White again, but a really good challenge by Luca Dean. And he gives the ball to Zaniolo. Zaniolo tries to find Ollie Watkins there, but it was nipped in by Zinchenko. And the ball is almost given away again there. Indeed, it was to Ollie Watkins. And it's a foul by Kai Havertz on Ollie Watkins. And it's going to be a free kick to Aston Villa, as we've had 58 minutes gone here. And it's Arsenal 0, Aston Villa 0, as Leon Bailey appears to be being prepped for Aston Villa. So action on the Villa bench as Leon Bailey is looking like he will be coming on very shortly to add an extra bit of pace to Villa's lineup. If there's any Villa fans or Arsenal fans in the chat, you want to voice your opinion on your team's performance, please feel free to do so. Just keep it nice and clean, and I'll read out what I can. And here's Torres, who gives the ball to Luca Dean. Dean plays the ball forward there, and only as far as Declan Rice. And with the help of Saliba, Arsenal win back possession. Here's Havertz. Gives the ball to Odegaard. Odegaard's got time and space in front of him. Plays a through ball through to Saka, but Saka's first touch wasn't the best. And Pau Torres shields that behind. Must have come off the Spaniard. It's going to be a corner to Arsenal. We've had almost an hour gone here at the Emirates Stadium. 0-0. Corner is going to be taken down the right-hand side, which Bukayo Saka will take, as Arsenal haven't really had any chances at the start of the second half, really. Might see if they can break the deadlock here from this corner. It's Saliba is in there. It's being marked by two Villa players. And Bukayo Saka is going to swing this one in. Swung in deep into the 6-yard box. It's headed out by Rodgers, only as far as Declan Rice, who gets his foot underneath that, and it goes over the crossbar and out of play. Media, Radio, Jingles and Gaming. Hi lads, how are you today? Well, very good, thank you. Hope you're well today. Nice to hear from you. Loving the commentary as always. Thank you so much for that. As Villa now are about to bring on Leon Bailey, and it looks like coming off there is Moussa Diaby. The substitute takes place just about on the hour mark. So coming off is Moussa Diaby, and on comes Leon Bailey. Ethan, your thoughts on that substitution?
I think it's pretty like for like. Leon Bailey is going to still offer a threat on the counter-attack. He's had a very good impact as a substitute in previous big games for Villa this season, so that should be interesting. And Diaby perhaps just sort of running out of ideas on the counter-attack. There's only so much you can do against this Arsenal defence, so I think it's a good chance to change something up in the Villa counter-attack.
Well, Zaniolo getting down the left-hand side there, but that is a good challenge by Ben White. And it's going to be a corner for Aston Villa. And I actually think, Ethan, this might be their first corner of the game. And it's taken till 61 minutes to get it. I may be wrong. I stand to be corrected if I am. It is their first corner. And the Villa fans down that in that corner are cheering on Yuri Tielemans. As that corner will come down the left-hand side. The corner is going to be taken here by Yuri Tielemans. Slight delay, swings the ball in, heads go up, and it's bouncing around there. And I think it's Martin Odegaard with a header. Zinchenko is giving the ball away, and it's Tielemans again. Oh, I think that was so close! The underside of the crossbar and the post. And Arsenal are living on their nerves now with that. What an effort by Yuri Tielemans. That would have been one of the best goals of the season. He just hit the underside of the crossbar and the post. And Arsenal get away with one there. Well, that is... Ethan, what do you think to that?
Well, Villa are going to be absolutely ruining the woodwork. That's a post and the bar now hit to deny them taking the lead, and that's just going to rack on the nerves for Arsenal, who, as the game goes on, are going to start to realise their opportunity is slipping away from them, and that won't have done anything to help. What a shot, though.
Yes, and Kai Havertz has just gone into the referee's notebook. Not sure exactly what for. And, the free kick is going to be taken here. There's been a free kick, and it's going to be John McGinn who's going to take this. With 62 minutes gone. It's going to be taken by John McGinn, who's going to swing this one in. Heads go up, and it bounces only as far as Rodgers. Rodgers closing down there is Martin Odegaard. Good challenge. And now Zinchenko, and it's won back by Bailey. And here is Tielemans. Tielemans drops it back to Luca Dean. Luca Dean launches it forward, and it's looking for Pau Torres, but it's headed back comfortably to Raya by William Saliba. And here is Martin Odegaard. Odegaard gives the ball to Kai Havertz. It's played forward to Jesus. Jesus down the right-hand side for Saka. Arsenal can break forward in numbers now. Bukayo Saka, corner of the penalty area, right-hand side. Back to Jesus for a shot. Good save by Martinez. And it breaks loose to White, who gets the cross in. And Villa appealing for offside, and finally they get it. And we have a stoppage in play. Just so you know, our next match on the commentary hub will come from the Championship on Tuesday night between Southampton and Preston at St Mary's. Join Mike Harmon for that one to see if Southampton can bounce back to the Premier League at the first time of asking. As we look at that effort again, Ethan, I just, for a moment, I thought he hit the underside of the post. Yes, he hit the underside of the crossbar and then the inside of the post as well. Incredible.
An incredible, it was dipping, it was dangerous, it was over the keeper. I mean, Raya was completely rooted and beaten, and that's just so unlucky from Tielemans with an effort that fierce. And while Arsenal's nerves, again, as I said it at the time, they won't be helped by that, because they could very easily be 2 goals down here.
Here's John McGinn, and Declan Rice just cuts across and makes a challenge, and it goes behind for a corner. As Villa getting another corner, their fans buoyant now, more hopeful that perhaps Villa can actually win this game, as this would be an important win for a number of reasons for Unai Emery, of course, being a former Arsenal manager. And for a lot of reasons, many of the Arsenal fans, I don't think they really appreciated Unai Emery at the Emirates. And I'm pretty sure he would enjoy getting one over on his old team, as Yuri Tielemans will take this corner down the left-hand side. Yuri Tielemans swings it in. It's headed out by Jesus. Only as far as Luca Dean, who heads the ball back in. Odegaard heads it out again, but he's fouled, and it's going to be a free kick. The challenge, I think, was from Diego Carlos, I think, got on the end of that to Martin Odegaard, and the Arsenal captain goes down, and now everybody's surrounding the referee and complaining. People need to mind their own business and stay out of this and let David Coote make a decision here. He's calling on the physio, because Odegaard is still flat out down there. And he doesn't look in good shape, Martin Odegaard. And Arsenal could do well without losing him. As we take a look at this challenge again, it goes up with, yes, it's a bicycle kick into the chest of Martin Odegaard. That would have been quite painful, one suspects, but may only be an impact injury. You're listening to Alternative Commentary on the Commentary Hub YouTube channel. Today's Player of the Match sponsor on the Hub is sponsored by Commentary Services. And Commentary Services would like to thank our broadcasting partners for this season, JB Sports and Storm FM and Focus on Football. And don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at Commentary Live 1. And you can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Commentary Hub, as we are seeing Ben White coming off for Takahiro Tomiyasu on 66 minutes. And we'll probably see Leandro Trossard being the other guy to make that change. Indeed it is. So Leandro Trossard and Ben White are off. So Gabriel Martinelli and Takahiro Tomiyasu. I think, Ethan, they're probably looking for a little bit more pace on the front line.
Yeah, I think that's true. And also, I think with the change at right back, they're sort of balancing that out by being a little bit more defensively solid from the counter-attack, because you will be more vulnerable the more you go at it with pace and dynamism. But what an exciting player to bring on in Martinelli. He's going to cause Villa some serious problems here, and it's going to not be a very nice sight for Ezri Konsa to have done 68 minutes of a very intense game and see Martinelli coming on now.
Yeah, it's you think you get rid of somebody like Ben White, you get rid of somebody like Leandro Trossard, and you breathe a sigh of relief. Then you look at the bench and you see Gabriel Martinelli coming on. It's not exactly the most motivating thing in the world as David Raya clears the ball downfield. Looking for Jesus, but cutting across there is Pau Torres, who heads the ball to Luca Dean. Dean clears the ball downfield, and now Arsenal win the ball back with Declan Rice. Declan Rice gives the ball to Zinchenko. Zinchenko to Tomiyasu, who gets his first involvement in the game. Gives the ball to Saliba. Saliba to good ball there to Zinchenko. Zinchenko, wonderful pass down the left-hand side to Martinelli. I don't know whether Martinelli's onside. Emiliano Martinez doesn't think so, and the assistant on that far side raises his flag, and it's offside, and we are heading at the moment for, unbelievably, 0-0 right now. Ethan, do you think there's going to be a goal?
I mean, I'm sure there has to be at this point. I'm shocked it's even still 0-0 as it is. I mean, we've got the post to thank for that. We've got some great saves from Martinez to thank for that, but this can't last for the whole game, surely, Paul.
Well, it goes through to David Raya now, who's just outside of his 18-yard box, and he releases the ball there to William Saliba. Saliba gives the ball to Declan Rice. He's just inside his own half of the field. He's got Tomiyasu making a run down the right, and just in front of him is Martin Odegaard, but he goes for the long ball to Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu plays it in the middle, but it's cleared out of play by Diego Carlos, as Gabriel Jesus did not read that pass from Tomiyasu. The throw-in is taken quickly, and Odegaard has it down the right-hand side now. Odegaard lifts the ball through to Kai Havertz, but it's just away from the German international and goes behind for a goal kick. Do you think Arsenal maybe are running out of ideas, Ethan?
I think it's possible because they've tested this Villa defence extensively and they've not found a way through. I mean, they've got some names on the bench, but at this point, you've got to be wondering how you're going to score on a day like today. I mean, their luck is with them in defence, but in attack, they couldn't buy a goal at the moment.
Media, radio, jingles and gaming said Arsenal have had loads of great chances. Well, they definitely have. As that ball is cleared away by Pau Torres. Just trying to bring the ball under control is Ollie Watkins, but that's good work by William Saliba. But he's actually alleged to have fouled the Villa player. And it's going to be a free kick here to to Aston Villa. And it's just inside their own half of the field as we've 20 minutes to go here. And Pau Torres, is he going to take this one himself or is he going to hand the ball over to somebody else? It does look like it's going to be Pau Torres. And he's just going to probably lay the ball off here, I suspect. He does. And it's Yuri Tielemans that just gives the ball down this left-hand side to Bailey. Bailey turns and gives it to Konsa. Konsa drops the ball back there to Diego Carlos. Carlos goes back to the goalkeeper, Emiliano Martinez. Here's Torres. He's got Luca Dean ahead of him. Finds Zaniola, and Zaniola tries to send off Luca Dean, but the ball goes over the Frenchman's head and out of play. And it's going to be a throw-in. And ball is cleared forward and over the head of everybody and straight back to Emiliano Martinez. Martinez releases the ball to Pau Torres again. Torres has got Zaniola ahead of him, but also here is that's the ball by Zaniola rather to Leon Bailey down the right hand side. Leon Bailey trying to just get away from Martinelli. He tries to play the ball through to Rodgers there, but it was a poor ball in the end, and now Arsenal can break away. Here's Martinelli over the halfway line. He's got Konsa in front of him, and he's beaten Konsa, but he's alleged to have fouled Ezri Konsa there. Martinelli doesn't agree, and I have to admit, Ezri Konsa went down pretty easily there, Ethan.
Yeah, he's not really the kind of guy that should be going down from that kind of pressure from Martinelli. It's a disappointing decision for the Arsenal attack, but it's a show of what they can do down that left-hand side now that Martinelli's on the pitch.
Well, we've looked at 32 touches in the opposition box for Arsenal, 5 for Villa in the first half. It's much more even, 4-on-4 in the second half. And that tells the story of how the second half has gone. Villa have been in this game much more significantly in this second half, Ethan.
Yeah, they've had much more of a presence. They've been calm and collected on the ball and even worked chances. And at the back, they look even stronger. I mean, the first half, they rode their luck a bit, I will admit, but they were stubborn. And then in this half, they've not really had all that much to defend.
Here's Saliba, gives the ball to Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu gives the ball to Saka down the right-hand side. Saka just trying to get away from Luca Dean. Gives the ball to Odegaard, but Odegaard is dispossessed by Watkins. Watkins gives the ball to Dean. Luca Dean storming over the halfway line. He's trying to get away from Tomiyasu. And it cuts across there. Does Tomiyasu and makes a challenge? Did he keep it in play, or is that going to be a corner? I think that may well be a corner. And... Right, we just had some news in the chat from Ross. The commentary hub understands Ben White has gone off with a knock. That's why Tomiyasu came on. So then in that case, that does make a bit more sense, I suppose. But hopefully Ben White will be okay. But it is going to be a corner now to Aston Villa. And it's going to be once again down that left-hand side. And Yuri Tielemans will once again... going to swing this one in right in front of those cheering Villa fans. It swings in. It's headed up into the air by Declan Rice, and it's just going to let that go behind, and it's going to be another corner to Aston Villa as they are knocking on the door themselves now with 16 minutes to go. And it's going to be swung by Yuri Tielemans. Once again, Arsenal defending for their lives from this corner. Martinelli, Havertz back here, Odegaard back here, Saka back here. Arsenal must concentrate with this corner as Tielemans swings it in. And it's dropped at the feet of Tomiyasu. Pau Torres tries to get the cross in, and it goes behind again. He's claiming a handball. And I'm not so sure about that. Let's take a look at this one coming in. And it might have come off Tomiyasu's arm, but you can't really give that as a penalty, can you, Ethan?
No, I think that would be a harsh one, but Villa mounting the pressure, and eventually that will tell. Hopefully, for the Villains with these corners.
Well, it's going to be taken again. It's a third corner in a row by Yuri Tielemans, who's going to have this one, swing this one in again. As we are inside 15 minutes left in this game at the Emirates Stadium. It's Arsenal 0, Aston Villa 0. Tielemans swings it in again. It's headed out by Jesus as far as Tielemans again. He'll have another goal, Will Tielemans. He swings it in. It's a good block that time again by Jesus. Headed out by Zinchenko. And here's Odegaard. Can Arsenal now catch Villa on the break? Here's Declan Rice over the halfway line. Declan Rice holds the ball up. He goes long looking for Bukayo Saka on the far side. But that is a good headed interception by Diego Carlos. And now Villa trying to come forward. It's picked up this time by John McGinn. McGinn drops the ball back to Carlos. Or so to Consa rather. And he drops the ball back to Carlos. Carlos drops the ball back to the goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez. As it's a good ball to Luca Dean out on the right, out on the left-hand side. Luca Dean has got Rice in front of him. He plays the ball to Zaniolo. Zaniolo holds the ball up and he plays it over the top looking for Watkins. Gabriel and William Saliba are with him. Watkins takes it over to the left-hand side. He does a quick pass to Zaniolo and does a 1-2 there with Zaniolo and Luca Dean. Zaniolo has the ball back. And he dropped it back there to Pau Torres. Torres gives the ball to Carlos. Back to Edri Konsa. Arsenal under pressure here. It's Leon Bailey. And Mike is mentally and physically ruined. That's okay, Mike. We'll talk to you at full time. We'll have Dr. Nicholas standing by. As the ball is played down the right here to Leon Bailey, corner of the penalty area. He's fouled there, surely by Martinelli, but the referee says no. Well, Ethan, I think Arsenal have got away with one there. Here's Martinelli. I'll get your thoughts on that now.
Yes, I'm not too sure about that one, really. Villa probably could have had a free kick, and that's living dangerously, Arsenal, with not long left to go in this game.
Well, we're going to see a double substitution by Arsenal. It's going to be Jorginho and Emil Smith-Rowe coming on. Maybe to add some creativity, which seemed to be missing in this second half. And Emil Smith-Rowe just getting his final instructions from Mikel Arteta. And it's for Martin Odegaard, which I have to say is really interesting. I'll get your thoughts on that in a moment, but I think that is a really interesting substitution by the Arsenal manager. Odegaard going off now. I'm somewhat shocked by that, but he's going off there. I think he's a little shocked himself. Jesus also coming off for Jorginho. So I just I wonder whether that's whether they're dropping to two up front. Ethan, what are your thoughts on that substitution?
I'll be honest, I'm a little bit confused. I mean, Odegaard coming off is the first big shock because he's been the main source of creativity and he's Arsenal's captain, leader, magician. But the other thing is, Eddie Nketiah, I mean, Mike's just said, what's he got to do to come onto the pitch? I mean, Gabby Jesus goes off, Jorginho comes on, but up front now you've got Havertz. And there's no real finisher because Nketiah, I mean, I'm flummoxed by it.
I think it's a strange one, certainly taking off Odegaard, seeing as though he's been the source of the majority of Arsenal's creativity in this game. But I think, just the same, I think it's also very interesting. I mean, as Mike said, Havertz through the middle, I think that's probably true as well. And it looks like there's a substitution for Villa as well. Alex Moreno has come on, and he has come on for Zaniolo. So Villa substitution as well, and that's an interesting one as well. So Mike suggests it could be because of the knock he took earlier. That might well be the case, otherwise I can't see any logic behind it. Ponsa just gives it back to the goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez. He releases it to Luca Dean. Dean plays the ball forward there, looking for Moreno, who's just come onto the field, gets involved for the first time. He's claiming that should have been a throw-in to Villa. It came to Arsenal, and Arsenal get another throw-in as once again it comes off Moreno. Tomiyasu is going to take this throw-in, and he throws it back to Saliba, who plays it across to Gabriel. Gabriel holds up the ball and gives it back to William Saliba. Saliba just inside his own half of the field, and he's just taking his time here. He plays the ball to Emil Smith-Rowe. Smith-Rowe drops the ball there to Tomiyasu. And here is Saliba, gives it back to Tomiyasu again. And here's Saka. Saka drops the ball to Jorginho. Jorginho back to Saka. Saka swings the ball into the middle. Havertz is looking for it. He heads the ball down, and lurking with intent there was Emil Smith-Rowe. And it was hacked away by Diego Carlos. And here's Leon Bailey on his way now for Aston Villa, just trying to get away from Declan Rice. He drops the ball back to Ezri Konsa, and just as you mentioned there, Ethan, in the chat, I bet he scores the winner now. That might well be the case.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about our confusion, but he is still a very good player, Smith-Rowe, and it's not a bad substitute to bring on. We've seen just then that he's clearly looking to have an impact, and it would be amazing if he scored the winner, wouldn't it?
It certainly would. It certainly would, because I think he's struggled this season to get time on the pitch of Smith-Rowe, and I think, as you say, he's a quality player. Pau Torres just knocks the ball back to Emiliano Martinez. So, Ethan, once you've made your mind up with player of the match, if you want to just pop it in the chat, so our producer Luke can just put it into the thing there. Once you've made up your mind, and then I'll come to you in about 7 minutes' time. Here's Ezri Konsa now for Villa. Konsa coming down the right-hand side. He's going to get a cross in here, but that is a really, really good block. And it's going to be a throw-in as Arsenal, well, Mike said I'd take anything now, a penalty, an own goal or anything at the moment. Well, yes, it's getting desperate times for Arsenal. As here's Morgan Rogers. Gives the ball to Konsa again. Konsa just turns the ball there back to John McGinn, who's having his shirt pulled by Kai Havertz. The referee says play on. And here's Pau Torres now. Just looking for options available. He gives it to Yuri Tielemans. Back to John McGinn now. He's midway inside the upper half of the field. Back to McGinn. Back to Tielemans. And Tielemans drops it back to Diego Carlos. And Torres now launches the ball down the right to Luca Dean. Can Luca Dean get the crossing? That's a really good block that time by Bukayo Saka. And it's going to be another corner to Aston Villa. And, well, they are looking like the team more likely to score in my mind now, Ethan.
Yeah, I think so. Just as the game gets later and later, both teams, the nerves are going to start to come in. It's just who deals with it better. And I would agree that they're looking more dangerous as time goes on. But we'll see. Those changes could yet still have an impact. We haven't had the substitutes on for too long.
Tielemans with the corner. 7 minutes to go in this one. It's still 0-0. Tielemans drops it back to Luca Dean, and it's back to Moreno, who tries to get the cross in. It's headed out by Takahiro Tomiyasu, only as far as Tielemans. Tielemans gives it to McGinn, and McGinn gives it to Moreno. Back to Luca Dean. He gets a cross in, and Pau Torres gets the cross. 1-0 to Aston Villa, and Aston Villa could have stole it with 7 minutes to go. And what a weekend this is turning in for Manchester City, as a substitute Leon Bailey on 84 minutes gets a goal. And Arsenal, well, you've missed so many chances, so many chances in the first half. And there is Leon Bailey to take the chance that Villa has had. And, well, they've rid their luck with the post and the underside of the crossbar and the post. And Aston Villa have taken their chance. And Ethan, well, we had a feeling it was coming, didn't we?
We did. And Aston Villa, I've got to say, on their second half performance, deserved that goal. But how on earth that ball's gotten all the way through to Leon Bailey to finish into an empty net, I will never know. And Arsenal will be ruining their missed chances, but also the defence for that goal. I mean, they'll be incredibly frustrated watching that. But what a moment for Villa, what a moment in the European race for them, and what a moment in the title race. Manchester City given the advantage now.
Yeah, no, but I agree with you on the defensive thing, by the way, as well. Nobody was picking up Bailey. Nobody was picking him up, but he was just able to come into the back post and tap that ball in. And I think Mikel Arteta and the entire Arsenal team will be cursing themselves for that, because that was a poor goal to give away, really. Declan Rice now gets inside, tries to get inside the Arsenal penalty area. The Villa penalty area. It's turned behind by Pau Torres, who also could have got a touch on that and put the ball in the net as it went across the face of goal. But it's going to be a corner to Arsenal down the right-hand side. Bukayo Saka will take the corner. Mike says that goal is Declan Rice's fault. That might well be the case. As Bukayo Saka, is he going to go short, or he's going to swing this one in? Heads go up. It's headed up into the air there by Watkins, I think, and cleared away by Yuri Tielemans, only as far as Zinchenko. Zinchenko drops the ball back to Jorginho. Jorginho tried to play Martinelli through there, but that's a good interception by Tielemans, and he sets off Ollie Watkins on his way. Watkins, he's got Emil Smith Rowe in front of him, but he lifts it over. David Raya and into the net, and that is game, set and match Aston Villa, and it's Ollie Watkins with his 13th goal of the season for Aston Villa, and they take a 2-goal lead as Ollie Watkins on 87 minutes, and well, what do you have to say to that, Ethan? Arsenal caught out there at the back again.
Caught out. It's a devastating counter-attack. What a ball from Yuri Tielemans to release Ollie Watkins. And Ollie Watkins doesn't miss too many of those. He's had a couple of chances that have not gone in already, but what a little chip that is from him as well. And an important goal. A quick 1-2 in a couple of minutes from Villa, and Arsenal. Well, you're going to be gutted if you're a Gunners fan. I mean, what a horrible few minutes it's been for them.
Yeah, and the pass was played just in time because you can't be offside in your own half. It looks like it takes a little deflection off Emil Smith Rowe as well, which helped it on its way. And that was just over the goalkeeper and in. And Arsenal, as Mike said after the first goal, that could put the kibosh on Arsenal's title hopes. And given the way City are playing right now, I have to agree. And very shortly soon, I'll be coming to you for your player of the match, Ethan. And David Raya now has got the ball just inside his own half of the field, and he clears the ball long, and it's headed up into the air. And Eddie Nketiah is on now for Arsenal. Just trying to see who it is that has gone off. But Eddie Nketiah is on right now. And it's now with Tomiyasu. Eddie Nketiah is on for Zinchenko on 88 minutes. So Arsenal going for a more offensive and direct approach. We should have seen Eddie Nketiah earlier, I think, Ethan. Here's Martinelli now. That's a good challenge by John McGinn, and it goes out of play. It's Mike Harneman says that bunch of bottle jobs, and the ball is played long now to Martinelli, and it goes down the right hand side. Of course, this means that Villa have done the double on Arsenal. The ball is swung in, and it's headed up into the air by Diego Carlos, and Emiliano Martinez plucks it out of the air. Of course, it leaves City's top of the table by 2 points, and Aston Villa in fourth place by 3 points ahead of Tottenham Hotspur. So only team to have done the double honours this season in the league as well, says Mike. And there's a stoppage in play, Ethan, so why don't you give us your player of the match?
Yeah, for me, it had to be a member of the Villa defence, but also I think somebody's contributing in attack, and therefore I've got to go with Luca Digne, because not only did he get the assist for Bailey, although that was a little bit fortunate, but he's been getting forward well, And something that we've not really talked about, but Bukayo Saka's not been a threat down their right-hand side, and that's because Luka Dean's been at left-back. I think he's had a phenomenal game, but it really could have been half this Villa team based on the away performance they put in today.
Yeah, I agree. So today's player of the match, sponsored by Commentary Services, goes to Aston Villa's number 12, Luka Dean. As the header is won by Gabriel there, and Martinelli just trying to keep possession. He does well there, and he sets Eddie Nketiah off on his way. But here goes Martinelli down the left-hand side, but the pass is just a bit too long, and it's nipped in by Yuri Tielemans, who gets in, and just trying to press forward there. We have 8 minutes of stoppage time. Really not sure where 8 minutes of stoppage time has come from, Ethan.
No, I'm not really too sure either. I mean, I guess there's been a couple of injury stoppages, but just quickly, an interesting thing about Watkins as well. I think he's now tied, if not outright, for the most Premier League goals in a season for Aston Villa. So what a moment for him in that second goal.
Yeah, well, he certainly has been very impressive. We wondered whether he would be able to score today, and well, he has. Here's Bukayo Saka. He plays the ball there to Saliba. Saliba gives the ball to Saka. The Emirates Stadium is now emptying out here. And there's Smith Rowe, gives the ball to Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu tries to get the block in, but Moreno gets on the end of that, and it goes behind for a corner. 2-0 to Aston Villa at the moment. And it's going to be a throw-in to Takahiro Tomiyasu. Throws the ball into the box and headed on by Kai Havertz, but Villa just struggling to clear the ball at the moment, and eventually they do, but only as far as Bukayo Saka, who gives the ball to Saliba. Saliba plays the ball down the left there to Martin Odegaard. Martin Odegaard now gives the ball to Jorginho. Jorginho across to Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu holds the ball up. And he gives it there to the number 2 there, Saliba, who delivers it to Bukayo Saka. He gets the ball back off Tomiyasu. Forward there to Kai Havertz. And now Emil Smith-Rowe is in. Tries to get the cross in. Good defending that time by Pau Torres. And Tomiyasu drops the ball back to the edge of the box again to Jorginho. And here's Gabriel. Gives the ball to Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu gets the cross in. It bounces down to Nketiah, but he's not able to get the shot away. And it's cleared away by Diego Carlos. And a free kick has been awarded. Mike Harneman has said might be Sunday today, but we wouldn't have scored in a month of them at this rate. We've been awful today. I think, would you agree with that, Ethan? Like, they've had the chances in the first half and they've not taken them. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm quite in agreement, really. I can't see, even if this game went on for the rest of the day, Arsenal scoring, or for the rest of the month, as Mike said, because even though they have worked the chances, no one's been there to take them, and I think this relates back to bringing on Nketiah when you're 2-0 down in the 89th minute. I think it was the wrong choice not to bring him on earlier. I think maybe they'd have had more of a chance if he'd have come on sooner, but no, Arsenal haven't looked like scoring at all. Villa have been very solid defensively.
Yeah, well, I mean, as we've got 5 minutes left now, the Villa fans absolutely delighted. Declan Rice, heads in hands. This could be the end of Arsenal's title ambitions. And Manchester City, well, of course, they're not looking like they're losing now. They're in pole position to win this title as we go on to the final lane for this title chase now. 5 games left. Where, if any, Ethan, can City lose it?
It's rogue, but I will say Brighton away is a tough game. Also, Wolves always seem to pose a threat to City, but realistically, you're looking at a pretty simple run-in for the citizens, and it's disappointing, but they always do just tend to push on at this moment. I mean, what I will say, I will let it slip that I am a Liverpool fan.
Here's Bailey and Watkins with a chance. Oh, I'm sorry, Ethan. I'll come back to you in a moment. It's cleared away by Takahiro Tomiyasu, with Watkins got in again there with nearly doubled his goals. Sorry, Ethan, please, do carry on.
No, that's quite all right. There was action there. Sorry for talking over. But yeah, I will say as a Liverpool fan, this is a slight relief. I mean, the loss earlier was terrible, but it does mean we're slightly back in it. So, but I think City will still push on and win the title with what games they've got left.
It's Martinelli now for Arsenal. Corner of the penalty area, left-hand side. It's pulled across to Declan Rice with a shot, and it looks like that took a deflection off Pau Torres. So that should be another corner. And, well, Arsenal fans do not look pleased. You can see there's a lot of anger directed there in some of the sections of the supporters. I suspect Arsenal Fan TV will be pretty busy tonight as Emiliano Martinez just gets ready to take the goal kick, and of course he's going to take all the time in the world, and stretching his leg there, and he's finally going to take the goal kick, I think, Ethan. Really, the referee should be booking this, but he's not doing. And it's cleared downfield, and eventually, and here's Nketiah, just loses possession here, and it's a free kick for the foul there on Morgan Rogers by Eddie Nketiah, and Rogers being helped to his feet by Gabriel Martinelli, as this game is just about done and dusted. We'll get Ethan's opinion and assessment of this game when at full time. But we knew the goals were going to come. I just honestly didn't think they were going to come to Aston Villa, but here we are. And it's Pau Torres who plays the ball forward. It's won back there by Jorginho. Jorginho lifts the ball forward, and Takahiro, Declan Rice was unable to bring that ball down. It goes all the way through to Emiliano Martinez. He clears the ball downfield. It's now picked up here by Eddie Nketiah down the right-hand side. Nketiah played into the middle there to Gabriel. Gabriel picks it up in the centre circle and gives it to Jorginho. Jorginho gives it to Emil Smith-Rowe. Smith-Rowe down the right there to Bukayo Saka. Saka gives it to Smith-Rowe again. And Nketiah to Jorginho. Jorginho through to Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu to Nketiah. Nketiah commits a foul there. And it's going to be a free kick. Media, radio, jingles and gaming says Aston Villa have changed the game a bit. Shock to Arsenal's title race. I don't think anyone can disagree with that. But a foul there by Eddie Nketiah. And you just wonder whether Unai Emery, deep down inside, is enjoying every moment of this, being a former Arsenal manager and having the opportunity to put such a dent in Arsenal's title ambitions. Well, you have to wonder, don't you, Ethan?
You do, but also Emi Martinez in the Villa goal, he wasn't really given a chance by Arsenal. It was in the absence of Leno when he was injured, but loaned out for years. He's left, he's won a World Cup, and he's denied them a Premier League title here today.
And here's a chance now for Ollie Watkins, but there's a foul. And it's a foul on Bukayo Saka. Ollie Watkins too. Apparently Ollie Watkins is an Arsenal fan. And here's Declan Rice now for Arsenal. As we're in the last 30 seconds, as you can see that the Emirates Stadium is emptying rapidly here. Bukayo Saka plays the ball across to Emil Smith-Rowe. Smith-Rowe to Jorginho. Jorginho lifts it over the top there, looking for Kai Havertz, but Havertz is unable to control it, and that really has epitomised Arsenal's day today. Takahiro Tomiyasu plays it off Alex Moreno, and it's going to be a throw-in to Arsenal. And here is Smith-Rowe, drops it back to Tomiyasu, to Jorginho. Jorginho's ball there forward is a bit disappointing one, and Watkins nips in and wins the ball back. And John McGinn now, long ball for Leon Bailey, who's already got one today. The scoring may not be done yet, but Leon Bailey takes it into the corner. Smart play by Leon Bailey. And he drops it there to Ezri Konsa. Konsa to Watkins. And it's with Rogers. Rogers drops the ball back there to Diego Carlos. And Carlos just holds the ball up now. We've played the 8 minutes. We are playing whatever discretionary time David Coote is adding on here. And it's now with Pau Torres again. Torres will just go all the way back to Martinez. And Martinez will just give that ball here to Diego Carlos. Carlos to Konsa. Konsa holds the ball up, and that's full time. And, well, 2 second-half goals, one from the substitute Leon Bailey on 84 minutes. 3 minutes later, Ollie Watkins broke inside the Arsenal defence ahead of Emil Smith-Rowe and lifted it over the goalkeeper's head to make it 2-0. Chance after chance Arsenal have had in the first half, and they didn't take any of them, and they have been punished today. And, Ethan, why don't you give me your full-time assessment, my friend?
Well, I would say, Paul, as your summary suggests there, Arsenal have shot themselves in the foot. They only have themselves to blame. They were dominant for the entire first half. They were still working chances in the second, but just a couple of interesting substitutions by Arteta and not really taking their chances when they came. Villa looked more dangerous on the counter-attack, hitting the post a couple of times and ultimately getting those couple of goals. But it's a huge result, cataclysmic really in the Premier League, because this alters the title race, it alters the race for Europe between, the Champions League slots between Villa, Tottenham and outsiders Manchester United. And just a huge, huge result. But Arsenal, well, could this be it for the title race for them?
All right, thank you very much, Ethan. A fantastic job as usual, co-commenting. Really appreciated working with you again. We'll hand back to the studio now to Nicholas.
Thanks, Paul. Well, that's it. Well, that is a real shock. Not just for Arsenal, but in the Premier League. Their title hopes have been their title hopes all but gone. And as for Aston Villa, they are on a roll after with this victory following their Europa Conference League first leg win over Lille, and I have to say I certainly wasn't expecting anything like this in the second half when Aston Villa appear to have gotten a second win. So before we go, final thoughts from Mike Harneman, if he is in any mood to talk. Mike, what more can I say?
Yeah, so we had the chances in the first half. As I mentioned at half time, Havertz had chances, Jesus had chances, Saka had chances. Obviously, Aston Villa had their chances through Watkins as well when he hit the post. Obviously, they hit the bar, the bar slash post through the chance in the second half from Tielemans as well. But the goals were coming for Aston Villa, and as I said in the chat, it didn't really look like Arsenal were scoring today because of that Aston Villa defence. They really held their own. The likes of Martinez and Carlos and Conser, etc., were very, very good for Aston Villa today. And this Arsenal side just couldn't break them down. And then, they got the 2 goals through Bailey and through Watkins as well. And as you say, and I think it was mentioned on commentary there as well, it really opens up this title race for Manchester City now with the 2 results today of obviously us losing and Liverpool losing as well. So, yeah, it's been a great weekend for Manchester City fans. Still a lot of football to be played, but Arsenal have really got to get back to how we've been playing before today, the last couple of months, and where we were really solid defensively and taking chances, scoring a lot of goals. But today was just a real disappointing performance from Arsenal, and disappointing result for the title race as well.
They really have got to get their act together because they face Bayern Munich in the Champions League quarter-final second leg match this week, and Aston Villa have their second leg quarter-final match against Lille around the same time. So before we go, time to go through the results of the Premier League, both from today and yesterday. So apart from Arsenal 0, Aston Villa 2, which we know about, of course, Liverpool lost 1-0 away to Crystal Palace, which would have given Arsenal the golden opportunity to get ahead, but of course they didn't take it. And the other result from today: West Ham United 0, Fulham 2. And the results from yesterday: AFC Bournemouth 2, Manchester United 2, Brentford 2, Sheffield United 0, Burnley 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 1, Manchester City 5, Luton Town 1, Newcastle United 4, Tottenham Hotspur 0, and Nottingham Forest 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2. And what that's done to the table, Manchester City, the clear leaders by 2 points from Arsenal, yet they are still ahead of Liverpool on goal difference. Aston Villa started 4th, they remain 4th, and that has increased their prospects of making the Champions League next season all the more achievable. Tottenham and Newcastle make up positions 5 and 6, with Manchester United 7th, West Ham 8th, Chelsea and Brighton make up the top 10, and the top half of the table completed with Wolves and Fulham. The bottom half of the table now, AFC Bournemouth are the bottom half of the table now. AFC Bournemouth are 13th. People have lost my way a bit there. Okay, so the top 10. Okay, so Wolverhampton Wanderers 11th, with Fulham in 12th. Then it's Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Brentford, and Everton just ahead of Nottingham Forest. Not only is there a race for the title and the place in Europe, but also the relegation zone is looking increasingly tight as well. Luton drop into the relegation zone following their loss to Manchester City, just 5 ahead of Burnley, and Sheffield United, their hopes of survival are all but doomed. And also before I go, just want to give a shout out of we've also got a further stat information from Russ. Unai Emery unbeaten in 10 Premier League games in London with Aston Villa. He's won 7 and drawn 3. That's Villa's longest ever unbeaten league run in the capital in their club history. So cheers for mentioning that. So cheers for bringing that up, Ross. And one more thing I should say before we go. Congratulations to Stockport County and Wrexham on their promotion from League 2 to League 1. Wrexham, a pretty remarkable achievement at the first time of asking, back in the EFL after so many years in non-league. So coming up next on the Commentary Hub, it is Southampton against Preston North End in the Championship with Mike Harneman on the commentary. Do make sure you join him then. But from him and all the rest of us, goodbye.